and welcome back to my channel. This is take 2 because my lovely camera decided to blur out 90% of the video. I'm not too pleased about this, but it's fine. We're just gonna reshoot because this is a video that we can reshoot. Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm super excited to dive into a review of the Prym Crochet Hooks. I've seen these hooks mentioned in the crochet community for years now, and I finally thought, why not just give it a go? So here we are. Not sponsored, but one of my favorite YouTubers I discovered also drinks the same brand of energy drinks, so that was kind of fun. For this review, I actually have the Prym and my all-time favorite crochet hooks, the Clover hook. I'm going to be testing both the H hooks as this is pretty much my standard. I'm going to make a granny square with each one so you can see the differences in action. Let me get this out of its package. First, I want to talk about the material and the design of each hook to compare them. The first thing I want to point out is that this Prym hook is made out of plastic. Now, personally, I don't like crocheting with plastic hooks because the plastic surface makes it harder to pull the yarn off the hook. However, these seem to be kind of beloved within the crochet community, so I don't know how these are going to perform. On the other hand, my Clover hook is made out of metal. Clover hooks are known for their buttery smooth glide, which is one of the reasons why I love this brand. Looking at each hook, the Prym hook looks to be a lot pointier than the Clover crochet hook. That could be a benefit trying to stab through your yarn. I know that's not how it's supposed to be said, but you get the concept. Another thing that you can probably tell is the handles. The handles are a little bit different. The handle on the Prym hook looks to be infused onto the plastic, which is nice, so you don't really have to worry about it coming off. However, the Clover hook has a rubber handle, and some brands are notorious for coming off the metal for some reason, but I've had these hooks for a few years and I haven't had them coming off. I even went to Reddit and one person said that they had their hooks for like a decade and it's still going good, so I'm not too worried about this coming off. Another thing I noticed, which is great, is that both of these hooks actually have their size engraved. One thing I do like about the Clover hooks is that it does say 5mm versus the Prym hook, which just says it's an H hook. I'm not too worried about that just because the H hook is generally 5mm. So here's the plan. I already have 2 little daisies already pre-made. I didn't want to have to go through the whole process because these take forever to make. What I'm going to do is finish up the granny square of each one, and then we're just going to compare them from there. I'm going to be starting off with the Prym crochet hook first, and then we're going to do the Clover hook. And in honor of it being this cute little orange yellow color, I'm going to be using an orange yarn. Yeah, I had to hide my cat because anytime I try to crochet, my cat's like, yo, what's up? It feels kind of comfortable in my hand. It doesn't feel as comfortable as my Clover hook, which fits perfectly. I feel like this kind of sticks out from the bottom. Forgot to mention this before, but the hook itself is actually quite long, so that might be a benefit. That's something that the Clover hooks don't exactly have. I can already feel the squeaking. That's not good. It's kind of like nails on a chalkboard. Like, that's the kind of feel I get from it, but I'm hoping it gets better. That's another reason why I don't like plastic hooks, is because they squeak. I will say having the hook being a little longer is quite nice. I will say this does feel better than other plastic crochet hooks. It does slide a lot nicer than those other ones, but you can still like feel the friction. So far, not bad. I have a cat. Honestly, I may need to go reach out to my friend Evelyn, which shout out to her. She's actually publishing a book, I think next month. So I'll link her channel down below. She lives with a cat. She likes to crochet too. So I may ask her what she does. Cause how do you crochet with cats? I don't really have a separate room to crochet in. It's just pretty much out and about. I feel like the squeaking's getting a little better. I say squeaking like the plasticky feel. I really do like the hook being really long. Another thing I mentioned before was that it's kind of big for my hands. That's another thing I'm not loving. Maybe it's just me getting used to it, but the squeaking's not that bad anymore. But at the start of it, it was just bad. Okay. I'm going to finish the second row of this granny square, and then after that we're going to do the Clover hook granny square. I'm pretty much done with this granny square. I just need to finish it off. Okay, so bear with me a second to tie this off. There we go, and voila! Look how pretty that is. I really love this color. Now I'm going to start the Clover one. Since that hook is blue, I'm going to be using blue yarn for that, so let me get set up with that. I'm not gonna have much commentary about the Clover hooks because, I don't know, I don't have much to say other than they're so nice to crochet with. I feel like if you're into like speed crocheting, I think these are a good set for you. I will say I was getting used to the extra long hook, which was really nice. I feel like you don't get as much hook space on the Clover as you do on the Prym hooks. Like, my only con for these Clover hooks is that they're kind of pricey, but if we're going to invest in crochet hooks, I think these are the ones to go to. See, look how much quicker I'm crocheting. This color with the daisy is really giving me like cottagecore vibes, which is really cute. Or like, I'm thinking of like that, I don't know what the pattern's called, but it looks like a picnic table, but instead of red, it's blue is kind of the vibe I'm getting. I don't know, I think I like this one with the daisy more than the peach color, but I really do like that peach color. It's really cute. Okay, my first row around the granny square is completed. I'm going to finish the second row off camera, just like I did with the Prym hook, and then we are going to do a comparison of the two, and then I'm just going to give you my final thoughts about the Prym hook. There we go. So I'm going to put Clover over here. And my Prym hook one over here. This is almost giving me Portal vibes, which is like that orange-blue coloration. Okay, so right off the bat, I am seeing that these are completely two different sizes. So I don't know if this is an issue with tension or if the hooks are truly not 5mm. Like this one's not 5mm, or I'm just used to crocheting with one and not the other, so I don't know what would have caused this. We'll worry about that another day. This one's a little more square than this one, but I was planning on blocking this one anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, so now that I finished crocheting both of these and I kind of showed you like the size difference, not that I think that really matters, I just want to give you like a quick rundown of like the pros and cons of what I like about the Prym hook. So let's start with the pros. The hook itself is actually longer than the Clover hook, which is quite nice. I think it's really beneficial for doing like special stitches like the puff stitch or the popcorn stitch, where you kind of need to have like a lot of loops of yarn on your hook. Another thing that I love is that for the handle, the hand grip is like infused into the plastic, which is really nice. So there's like no risk of it coming off, and it feels really nice in my hand. The hook feels very sturdy. Like I don't think that I could end up breaking this. Like I'm not gonna do like a stress test on it. I know with plastic hooks, you do run the risk of them breaking, and I've seen that with like really flimsy ones, but this feels really good. I don't think there should be any concern about these breaking, but we'll talk more about that in the cons section. Another thing that I like when I was researching the product itself, each hook is in a rainbow color order, which makes it super easy to figure out which hook would be what color. I think they start out in like the purples and kind of go up all the way to the blues. So if you have like this one, you might be like, well, I think it might be like a 7 hook or an H hook, or you know, something along those lines. Versus Clover, which I still have no idea which color is what hook. In my head, the H hook is blue, but the rest of them, I have no idea. I do know as you kind of get into the bigger hooks, those are more of like the neon colors versus like these are regular colors. I don't know, that's a whole other logic. This next section is like a pro slash con, depending on how you want to look at it. So I'm calling it like the pro-ish con section. These hooks are made out of plastic. While I was working with the acrylic yarn, I did notice some squeaking, which kind of got a little distracting, and it kind of gave me the vibe of like nails on a chalkboard, and it wasn't pleasant. But I felt like as I was kind of getting into the rhythm of it, it got a lot better, and it might have been my brain just like shutting it off or whatever. However, which is why I'm categorizing this as a pro-ish con, I found out that these hooks are actually meant for more like natural fiber yarn, like cotton and wool. I did see reports that those types of yarn glided really nicely off this hook, like how the Clover is for most yarn. So if there is any interest, I would love to try this hook with those types of yarn in a future video. At like $6 or $7 a hook, which again, I think they vary from hook to hook. Price can be a little steep depending on what your budget is. However, you can save money by buying a larger pack. Like an example is the set that this comes with is priced at like $27 on Amazon, which makes each hook cheaper when buying them together. And honestly, if I'm gonna be buying crochet hooks, I would rather invest now into the good hooks than buying the cheap ones and then just kind of buying like other cheap ones until you kind of get to these, and then now you're just hoarding a bunch of crochet hooks. Not that I would know or anything, but definitely investing in good crochet hooks that are going to last you for years is definitely the way to go. And finally, the cons. Earlier in the pro section, I did mention how nice it was to kind of have the hook being, you know, longer than the Clover one. But with that, I really feel like that the handle doesn't fit as nicely in my hand as the Clover one does. And I feel like it's like poking my hand at the bottom depending on how I'm holding the hook. So I think these might be better suited for somebody with slightly larger hands than mine. Also in the pro section, I mentioned that these hooks feel sturdy, but apparently some of the smaller hooks, there have been some reports that they are breaking. So my question to you guys is, how are they breaking? Like, what exactly are you guys guys doing to break them? Are you guys like trying to do a stress test to see how good they hold up? So then this had me question that. And I went to Amazon and read some of the reviews. Apparently people are saying they are crocheting too tightly and that's what's breaking them. And I'm like, how are you crocheting so tightly that the hook breaks? I could see that maybe with like a 2.5 millimeter. Yeah, I still don't understand. And my final con is that they don't crochet as smoothly with acrylic yarn as they probably do with the natural fiber yarn. That wasn't known to me unless I did research. There are people out there who are trying these hooks because they're recommended within the crochet community, but it doesn't say what they're meant for. So I really wish there was some kind of like advertisement or something. Does the box say that? Yeah, it doesn't even mention that. But it would be nice if it mentioned that this was meant for more like natural fiber yarn. Just be warned if you don't like that squeaky sound or, you know, it not being as smooth as like a clover hook. But in the end, it all really comes down to like what your use case is. If you find that you work a lot with natural fiber yarn, I think these Prym hooks might be up your alley. And if you're somebody that has tried the clover hooks and you think they're too small, or you just find that most crochet hooks don't really fit your hands very well because you have larger hands, maybe look at getting a Prym hook. I really want to give this hook a try with some natural fiber yarn and just see how they perform to see if that's a true statement that I read or if it was just more of an opinion. So let me know in the comments if that's something that you guys would like to see, but due to my own curiosity, I may just make the video on my own even if there is no interest. Also, I have these linked in the description down below in case if you are interested in picking these up, or the clover hooks. Clover hooks are very nice. And that's all I have for this video, so thank you so much for watching and I will see you guys in the next one. Adios!